Hello beloved beings throughout the planet. I hope you are doing great riding the ascension waves. The next month can bring a big change for many of us on Earth. So it is really time to activate the power in you and in many other starseeds, lightworkers, indigos, awakened beings. My contribution for you today is another interview with ascenders. In this series, those individuals share their unique perspective who simply got the message of what it is all about in this earthly existence. They accessed their power and now help others free themselves and become the best version of themselves. Today is my pleasure to introduce you to such an amazing being, Victor Oddo, who is now in the front line of Ascension, already pulling a lot of people with him. But in order to do so, he first had to overcome the energetic chaos in his own life. Meet Victor Oddo. So, 1, 2, 3, ready to go?
Yes.
Great. Hello and welcome, Victor, on the True Inspiration channel. It's nice that you are here with us today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Dear Victor, you run a website, you have a wonderful YouTube channel, you help people on their ascension journey, you contribute to humanity's ascension. Is that correct, that this is what you do?
Yes, I think a fair assessment.
And watching your videos, which I did, it gets really clear that one of the key words in your videos is self-empowerment. So this is what you want people's attention to be driven to. What I would like as a beginning to explore with you today is actually what is this power we can have access to, everyone, each and every of us on the planet. What is the power that we can have access to? Because you described that you gain access, it changed your whole life. It empowered your being and brought you to different directions. So could you please say a few words about how you could describe this energy?
Sure, yes. I see that self-empowerment state of being you're referring to more as a natural trait of our true identity, our true soul self. And it's all about really just going through the ascension process, kind of following the nudges of your intuition, left to right, forward and back, until such time you have let go of a sufficient amount of the baggage, clearing and distorting your perception of yourself to where that natural power sort of just emanates through, rather than being something that kind of comes to you. It's already there. Most people just don't use it, don't know about it, they don't see it. And that's just my perspective, that it's a natural trait of the true self, of all people.
And I'm wondering a lot, how is this actually the same energy, you can call it source energy, I don't know, which drives this whole planetary ascension process? So do you see the connection here, what we embody or can embody individually, that this is the same source energy and a level higher, which drives this planetary collective ascension process?
I Honestly, I would say I wouldn't claim to know exactly, like mechanically, empirically, what it truly is. I just can sense a raising of an expansion of our consciousness, making us far more aware of our true identity. I think that we're all as powerful of source energy as can be. And again, we're in a state of closed off consciousness, kind of masking that truth. And for whatever reason, whether it's incoming energies to the planet, whether the planet itself is moving into a new aim of space, whether God or the source itself has decided upon itself, let's raise these people out of their slumber. I don't know, but whatever it is there is a greater awareness of the truth of what we are, and which is that of a facet and expression of the source energy. That's the way I see it anyway.
It sounds very fascinating. And so, for those who may not be familiar with your story, would you please share a few words about how you came to know this energy more in an experiential way, how it came to you? Because you mentioned it in a few of your videos. So, was your first clear experience of this soul energy in you, and how did it come to you?
I see. It's funny. In retrospect, I can see it was always present in my life, but there were different milestones in my life that sort of made me more acutely aware of it. For example, when I had my Kundalini awakening, that was certainly a wake-up call to the reality that there is such a spirit energy that can flow through you. I've also had an experience where I had what many would describe as like a near-death experience, but I didn't die. I just sort of vanished. I was just there one moment, and then the next moment I was in like what I would describe as a heavenly realm, where I actually met an angel, and it came and it hugged me, and just I might get choked up every time I reflect on it. It was such a beautiful, loving experience, so pure that I feel it momentarily as I bring it up. But that was certainly like, wow, made me aware that this energy, you could say, it exists. And then those I would say are the two most notable actual experiences where I was sort of like smacked in the face with it, you could say.
Yeah. Wow. So it's kind of, you have this mystical part, yeah, that's some mystical, you could say, experience, which is not from here, and
yes.
this very grounded, everyday environment in which the energy is still present in you. So you had this kind of, without doing astral projection or something, it came through your body, literally, this Kundalini energy as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it came later on that you was able to make not sense of it, but you was able to handle it and integrate this energy into your life. My question I want to address here is that it seems that one thing is the energy we can have access to. It's a beautiful thing, and the other thing is whether we are able to handle it or not, or whether we can make effective use of it. How do you see it based on your experience?
Yeah, I see it can go a lot of ways. For me, I believe that it happened in me the way it did. I had a very strong intent, not so much to awaken my Kundalini. I just had a strong knowing that there was so much more. Like I kind of, even before I knew any of this, I really felt cloaked in ignorance. I knew there was more something, and I just had this strong notion to break on through. And so I started experimenting with the third eye meditations, and I just always had such a fiery passion. And I don't know why it happens in some people, like explosively, like it did with me, and some people it just trickles in. I honestly don't know. I assume that it just has to do with their own ideal life path and it being relevant to their unique journey, the way it happens. I don't know if that accurately answered your question. You can let me know if you were looking for something different.
Yeah, we are going to the right direction. in order to become our master, our own masters, we have to handle, we have to have balance. So how were you able to create this balance after you got this access?
Okay. Well, I'll say this. I wouldn't recommend what I did, because what I did, I was kind of blindly navigating my own path. I really had no idea. It was even a little while before I even knew what Kundalini was, and it was after it had happened. So I sort of kind of found my own way through a lot of almost like cruel trial and error. You know, I made a lot of mistakes. So what I would recommend for people, if they're awakening their Kundalini and like, what do? How do you? I think the key is, I don't know if there is one key, honestly. I think it's about it's just about just kind of like learning how, like a subtle, like learning a new skill, kind of like someone throws you a computer, you don't know how to use it, but eventually you understand that these keys do this. And it's kind of like how to process the energy. I don't know if there's something I can say, unfortunately, that I just going to make people do it. I think it's just kind of getting a feel for what this energy represents and then what it's trying to do. But practically speaking, I think the most important thing is just to kind of let go and allow your process to unfold, not have expectations of how it should go. It's one of those things. I think everyone has their own individual path.
But it's beautiful what you now have just told, because it seems like a lot of people are very fixed on different spiritual practices or concepts, and what you now seems to suggesting is that if you let go, if you do just this one thing, that we let go, no matter what it is in our life, this is special, this is unique. But if you let go everything which is in the way and just let it happen, this process takes care for itself.
Yeah, and I think like, I don't think there's any particular specific spiritual practice that is better. I think everyone comes into the ones that work for them. Like Kundalini yoga worked for me, meditation, stuff like that. Whereas some people might find that painting really puts them in their zone, where they're in alignment with their inner self and in harmony. So I think they're all valid, they all work. It's about being honest with what naturally comes up, rather than trying to search for that magical practice as if that's going to bring them that clarity. Rather, that's just kind of allowing them to come into their own clarity. It's something that works in harmony with their own belief systems.
Yeah, it's great. So you mentioned here painting. I like this idea, because if you think in terms of very simple activities or nice, pleasing activities, it is, the beauty is really just that to bring whatever energy you have into a very simple, grounded, everyday life. Like if it is painting which helps you handle or balance this energy, then do that, or whatever. But it's somehow, this is kind of the same environment won't be the same if you just bring this energy into that and do with your life whatever you do, but you do it with in alignment with that energy, and then everything else just takes place. Do you see it this way also?
Yeah, I do find that for a part of my journey, I think a lot of people have this compulsion, this feeling like they want to express what's going on inside of them in some way. There's a feeling of us wanting to find their sense of purpose. Many people describe it as. And I think there's a lot of experimentation where you try to bring this energy into something and it just doesn't work. It's like all scattered, and then you try, but then you find that thing that fits. Like for me, it's making these YouTube videos. I just love doing that. And it took me a long time to find. And like I said, some people might be, they realize they like to paint, they like to draw. It could be any earthly physical practice. I believe you can bring this energy can be expressed in any way. I'm a big fan of mixed martial arts. People are like, wow, fighting, dangerous. But I see these people are like masters, and there's like some very high level beings who are fighters. Meaning there's no, every earthly grounded activity can be a valid outlet for this energy, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's really resonating also, because we sometimes tend to make a big deal out of this whole awakening process and ascension process, but basically it's really just that what naturally comes to you, what awakens in you, let it explore itself, or let it express itself and do what comes, what resonates. So it gets really simple. Also, how you describe it,
Yeah.
it's beautiful. It makes more sense now. It is not too spiritual. It's very grounded and very, connected to our physical existence also.
Yeah, I think it's a simple thing. At the same time, people who are like really struggling, it's not feeling so simple for them. It's kind of like, I say that like, wow, that seems so easy, but it's when you are desperate, that when you in absence of that outlet, that purpose, you feel very barren and very like incomplete, and this very agitating type of state of being, which is nice. So once you find it, you recognize it. But you're right. I think it's on one level, it is a very simple thing. On the other hand, the people who are struggling through it might get. It's not simple, you know. It's easy to say having come through it, but I know myself in the struggle, it seems very big, and I made it in this big thing. But like kind of like we were saying, I think making it into like, on one hand, it's a massive thing. It really is profound. You could like talk about it all day. On the other hand, it doesn't always serve you to like get too into all of like the different aspects of it. Rather, bringing it simple, as you were kind of saying, I think is maybe a more efficient way of getting from A to B.
So, how do you feel about the idea that actually that you mentioned, or you somehow summarized that one way it is a simple thing, bringing that energy into our lives. On the other hand, it can be complicated because we have all these issues and we are struggling a lot, and we try to clean up stuff in order to be more in alignment with that energy and not disturbing its natural unfolding. So it brings me to the question that is it something, do you see our self-master here on earth as this process of coming out of these misaligned states and just learning to be more and more in alignment with that energy, which then brings us to very simple things, but where we do it them very powerfully. So is it for you this self mastery that we clean up all the things that are in the way and just go with the process without not disturbance, but without misalignment.
Yes, in fact, that was something that sprung into my mind that I kind of forgot to mention. Is that what I mentioned as part of the struggle is that inevitable process that most of us have to go through, where we are cleaning out our baggage, I think that's it's about allowance of our more and more of ourself, yes, to kind of funnel through as we let go of stuff, kind of bringing us on the path of self-mastery, whether self-mastery is something you actually ever attain and say, oh, well, I've mastered myself, or it's just a constant unfoldment, Now, with that said, I don't know if there'll be a constant letting go of baggage. I hope, I kind of have a suspicion that it's going to cut, that phase will end for a lot of us, but it'll still be an ever like increasing expansion to more and more of us, hopefully with less struggle and strife.
Yeah, and so it also seems to me to be the case that once somehow we awaken this energy with us, once we reconnected with our soul, with the bigger part of us, brought it into our bodies, and learn to handle this energy and learn to keep the balance. It is just the very beginning of our mission. If you have a calling, if you have a mission, it is not the end. It's definitely just the beginning, right? Because it seems to be that it is just, really, this is the starting point, and from that point on, we now will be able to really explore what's kind of the first density way of living is.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's exactly spot on. Like, I think most of us are still kind of sorting through our awakening process to some extent. A lot of us are kind of like kind of getting beyond it a little bit, but now it's just the beginning in a way. I totally agree. And then from this newer, grander perspective, then we can start to really take inspired divine action. And that, I think, is where the world will start to change, where more and more people come into their own harmony and then start taking action, rather than, like you said, waiting to have it all kind of just happen,
Yeah, good. And it is also linked to this whole fourth density existence topic. What is the mechanism what brings us more and more deeper into the fourth density existence? Is it that we have the energy, the Kundalini energy is available for us? We begin to we find our balance, and how is it then we begin to manifest things that are really in alignment with our true desires? Is this actually the very and then it brings us to maybe for that to we change place of residence, or we new people pop up in our lives, and somehow we literally create a whole new also physical reality around ourselves. Is it somehow, does it resonate with you, this process that this is kind of the more and more energy we can express, and the more and more we can bring it to the world, it change our physical environment and brings us to maybe to another place where we can fully express ourselves. Is it somehow that what we are now collectively exploring here in the fourth density?
Yeah, it's a challenging thing to really tie down, isn't it? It's the way I kind of perceive it, the way I would explain it as simply as possible, is that yes, on one hand we're kind of awakening to our own energy, but on the other hand, I believe that the energy that we're kind of immersed in, this collective shared reality, is changing, and there's people on this leading edge who are doing their best to match it by letting go of enough baggage to kind of ride with it. And I think every day there's higher frequency energies, there's more of a potential, and people are going to start, again, learning to align with it to such time that I resonate with. I can't predict it. I don't know. I think a lot of us do resonate with it, quite honestly, that there will be a discernible, whether it's discernible or to our perception or not, but a shift to an actually different dimension. Like we will reach a threshold of frequency that some people are kind of attached to, and eventually will be in a different one. I suspect it'll still somewhat overlap the old one, though, where you might have people embodying two different dimensions, you could say, and still be able to somewhat communicate temporarily as the earth sort of splits in two, you could say. That resonates with me. As wild as it sounds, that's kind of what I really sense is happening, quite honestly.
Yeah, and also related to this issue, to be honest, I've been carrying an idea, and also within myself, and it has to do, and I know that it wants to be expressed, and this is nothing else but the idea of people coming together on different spots on Earth. It doesn't mean that it's kind of a belief, or it is just I want to explore. I will go deeper into that with you, whether you have a resonance to that somehow if we follow our divine path, and we learn to really to be in alignment and let life happen, then it will naturally brings us to decisions that we we make changes, and through that, and when I look around, I see that on different spots on Earth, conscious communities are emerging. Somehow people find a place, oh, it's cool, we are in nature or whatever, and then somehow people come together. Maybe you can in that way find members of your soul family, or so this kind of, and then when we create a community in which we can really have no other baggages to carry or to hold on to, but we can really express ourselves not individually but as a community, it will be even a bigger energetic load. And I just want to ask, do you have this experience that moving to another place, finding a new life with your family as a result of your resonance with things. And how do you feel about this idea that maybe one day you will end up in a community of like-minded people?
Yes. I do sense that is how it's going to happen for a lot of us. I see it a couple different ways. On one hand, I don't know the timing of such a thing. And I feel comfortable with perhaps the role of us is to just be in the world for a long time as an example. But I don't suspect that's how it's going to be. I think, as you said, we are going to follow the energy that feels good, which eventually forms into decisions, as you mentioned, which will, I plan to move to Southern California. That's where I want to go. That's like my next thing. I just feel a resonance with it. It's not something that I've came to through deductive reasoning. It's just, I feel like that's an expression of me. And I think a lot of people are going to start kind of doing that. And yes, find themselves, fortunately, in the midst of other like-minded people. And I think that's where a lot of the real big changes will come, is when enough people awaken and then kind of sort themselves out and to come into alignment with their fellow family, really, their communities. And then from there, there's power of we're not so scattered. Then there's real power. And with that, I also notice, especially kind of where I'm at, there seems to be, and I don't know if this is the case, but lower vibrational collective areas that generally the whole area, not every single person, but primarily is a darker place, a lower vibration place. And I think some people are getting squeezed out of those and just kind of climbing up the vibrational ladder to finally find their, as you mentioned, a place of feeling that you finally made it. You finally kind of got to where you wanted to go, where you kind of had, an inclination that you'd eventually be reaching, among people who you really love. Because it's kind of sad for us to let go. We feel alive, feel very alone. When are we ever going to find our people? I think that will happen in our lifetimes. How long it'll take, I really don't know. But things are happening pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, this is a community where you really fit in, right? Where you really you do what you love doing and what you express yourself, and this is what it is exactly needed. And somehow this kind of synchronistic, divinely orchestrated way of existence can be explored in those communities. And this is a kind of, how it comes to me as an idea, which is really strong in me, and then I like to explore this idea. Let's say this year or next year, without being very strict in terms of prediction, which doesn't really contribute anything good in that sense, but rather focusing on the process or on your resonance. Do you see that, for example, this year 2016 and the next year maybe this summer, fall, and what's gonna happen is kind of a rough time window in which we can somehow accelerate our development in if we want to, if we want to be aligned with that process? Or do you have the perception of it today or now?
Yeah, honestly, I resonate with the idea that in the fall sometime there'll be a shift that a lot of people are aware has taken place. Sometime in the fall, winterish, I think we've been building towards this threshold I mentioned. I think that's around, I sense, again, I'm not in a position to predict. I have no idea. But I resonate with the notion that at that time there is something that will happen. And I don't think it's, like I said, it serves you to really look forward to it and to sit and wait. That's why I don't talk about it too much. But honestly, I feel like something big's going to happen pretty soon. And I think it'll just be a lot of us reaching a culmination of our journey where we get to finally kind of reap the rewards of all this baggage we let go of. And this insane battling with our ego self will diminish to some extent, maybe completely, I don't know. And then from there, like you said, that's kind of the beginning for a lot of people. I resonate with that idea, I would say.
Yeah, and we will know it in one way or the other. It will be clear soon. Whatever.
So for a lot of us who are sensitive enough to perceive it, yes, definitely. I think some of us will know. Oh wow, thank goodness we made it.
And maybe one additional thing which is not strongly related to that what we have been speaking about, but it's very important to me, and that's why I would like to share or exchange ideas with you. And this is the topic of parenting, but from a perspective of this ascension journey. So that, for example, as you've been going through your process and gained your insights and your power and began to work, began to be active in your mission. Did it help you, or how did it help you in a way of express yourself more fully as a parent, as a father? You have, I think, 3 children. Is it correct?
Yes.
Because this is so, it is, we have 2 kids, and it is a big topic in our family. Parenting, you are so challenged in every little step if you are interacting with a child who doesn't give a shit of about what has to be done and in which way has to be done, because they have really still have the freedom of expressing themselves, although they are also not always in alignment. So did it help you, and how your own awakening to go back to your family life and kind of improve it further and further? Or is it not the case?
No, it is. It's been a harder learning experience. The more aware you become of like the moment, the more you realize, just to the extent you influence your children, not even so much what you tell them, just your energy. And my kids in particular, they're not afraid to reflect that. So it's been a lot of struggles, but we're coming to a place of just my children are developing beautifully. I'm not trying to brag, but they really are like amazing human beings. And I credit that to just being more of a conscious parent, not blindly following the conditioning of my own parents. And so awakening has certainly been a huge influence, a fundamental influence on the way I parent. And the children are certainly a wonderful at assisting. Again, they're little divine little reflections of all of my faults and whatnot, which again, it was tough to be confronted with that for a while. But the result is that I think I think our children are going to become way more wise than we are, because they're being raised by wise people. Not tooting my own horn, but I'm just saying, and generally speaking, people who wake up, they'll do a much better job of parenting, because they're more observant about what the kid actually needs, and to allow them to be who they really are and to express themselves fully. So it's a beautiful thing. That's where I think the world will see some real massive changes, is these children, they'll go into the world and who even knows what they're going to be able to do, given such a different world to grow up in, an environment. So it's awesome. It's been awesome. It's been a blessing.
Yeah, it is. So kind of we are actively creating or co-creating the circumstances in which they can really rock and blossom, and what of course it occurs by the process that they are really pretty much teaching us all the time how to create those circumstances for them to explore themselves. So kind of really, as you said, it's a blessing. Dear Victor, I thank you very much for being with us today. I enjoyed the conversation pretty much, and for those who are interested in what you do, I will include a reference to your YouTube channel, and you also have a website, right? And you have you created this program called Mood Shift. I want people's attention to go to, which is very exciting. And would you please just share a few words about what Mood Shift is, this program you created, and what is the change that it can bring into our lives?
Sure. I found later that I believe a lot of the struggle and stress that I went through during my awakening was unnecessary and was just merely a consequence of being out of alignment and not really knowing the whole premise is to find the inner harmony. So Mood Shift is a compilation of just effective earthly techniques like Kundalini yoga, stillness meditation, using positive affirmations, and this kind of unknown therapy called bioenergetics, which is like a systematic way of ridding yourself of emotional traumas, which kind of manifest themselves as physical contraction. So it's kind of like the opposite of psychoanalysis. You're kind of dealing with repressed emotions through the body. And it's just a kind of a routine that kind of harmonizes those 4 different techniques and puts you in alignment, puts you in a very nice state of alignment. That at first you get and you feel great, and then it goes away. You might notice it comes and goes. But by systematically putting yourself into alignment, it really helps you remember what it feels like, so you can start living and existing more in like the channeling state, more in alignment predominantly, and therefore your life experience goes a lot smoother. I think it's a good way to help people get not have to take as much time and have so many struggles as I did on my awakening. It'll kind of like put them in alignment, and therefore their life will change faster. That's essentially what it is.
Great. It sounds awesome. So you can check it out. I will include the link. And once again, Victor, thank you for your time. And I wish you a wonderful day, a wonderful parenting experience package for the future. And have fun on your journey. Have fun on your mission.
Yes, thank you. It was a real pleasure for me. It's very nice to communicate with people, like-minded people. It was a nice experience for me. I appreciate you. I'm flattered that you would invite me on. I appreciate you mentioning my programs, my channel, and I really wish you all the best, and I hope we stay in touch.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks.
Thank you guys for watching this video, and don't forget to check out Victor's channel and his mood shift program. And if you want to get inspired by other interviews with ascenders, go to my website. There you can also find other videos, other contents I'm creating in order to activate the divine in you, so that you can go out, make your own show, and rock the world. In that sense, take good care, remember your precious beings, make humans fly, spread the inspiration.